like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL. When things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this and I'm a Who Dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like this and I'm a Who Dat. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right, shout out to the fam. Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all for being in the live on this one, man. Much love to the Coma and the fam. Great Saint think tank and the entire mighty Who Dat Nation. Much love. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, sub up if you're not a sub. And if you're a diehard, share the links with other diehards across the spectrum, across the world. All right, so in this one, fam, let's jump right into it, man. Shout out to the Patreon champions and the YouTube membership family who, we did the Patreon Tuesday film work, breaking down the Saints film and particularly dealing with an impressive battle at the quarterback position, right? Who will take the lead going into preseason week number 2. So that is the big thing that a lot of people are addressing, and who played better in the first matchup as we hit right into today. What's interesting is the fact that the Saints did work on a few things. They're practicing. They did a few positive things for this for after the preseason matchup against the Chargers. The Chargers are a good team. They got good backups. A lot of positives and a lot of negatives, man, that came out of it. But in terms of the QB battle, as it ramps up and who's expected to start going into preseason week number 2 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, as the Saints will come home for a Sunday noontime kickoff game. We get back to our regular noon schedule as the Jags come to the Superdome. We'll get our first home preseason matchup coming up this week. But who should start in the game? Now, even in it's my estimation that even though if Spencer Rattler would have balled out, I still think the Saints would have went with Tyler Shuck at number 1 for the Jaguars matchup, simply because he wants to see Shuck behind the ones, or, playing in connection with the ones to see how that looks. Now, of course, Charlotte came in, he played with the backups and this type of stuff, but you cannot deny the immediate impact that Tyler Shuck had when he came in the game. Now, he operated mostly from a shotgun package, trying to get the offense going, and he made several really good throws. Of course, the throw that he kind of stared down the defensive back, and that's a rookie move, staring down the defensive player. When he snapped the ball, he stared and threw where he was looking, and the guy jumped it just like that. That's how fast you get pick-sixed in the NFL. But outside of that, he had one where he got sacked. But outside of that, he just had a pretty solid performance rather in week 1, the preseason week 1. He did really good. I was really impressed with him standing strong in the pocket, being decisive and delivering when he did do that, having good spatial and pocket awareness and making plays. Now, in terms of Spencer Rattler, had he been in the league a little bit longer, Then Tyler, obviously, not so much with Spencer Rattler. Didn't like Spencer Rattler, how he listen. He did some good things, but not so not enough to impress. Tyler Shuck outplayed him. You removed the pick six away from it, he would have had a very special day, to be honest with you. But Tyler Shuck led the Saints offense to 2 scores. He led them to a field goal and he threw a touchdown. That's 10 points. Spencer didn't do any of those things. The offense, he had an opportunity. When the offense stalled out originally, they punted it off. The Chargers fumbled it inside the 20. Spencer couldn't get them in the end zone. There were plays later on in the game that if you want to be a professional NFL quarterback, you got to make those throws. We talked about them on our Patreon. Along the sideline, and the next throw where he threw the ball, a little pressure, no pressure was really in the face, but delivering the ball for a completion, he missed on it, then threw it behind another guy. Let's see how he responds and comes back, because the tape didn't look too good for Spencer Rattler. He got hit with the turnover. Dylan Redunce got beat from the rear, and then ended up the guy knocks the ball out of Spencer Rattler. Of course, he could have took off, or he could have been faster in his reads. So it's something to be had there. But regardless or not, Tyler Shuck, you give him credit for having a really good, solid out and outside of the pick six. He did a pretty decent job. Spencer Rattler has some stuff to work on. Jake Haener not even in the discussion. So going into the next couple of preseason games, it should specifically be about seeing who's the starting quarterback between Spencer and Tyler, like we originally said before all this got going, right? When they paired these two against each other. So that's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm anticipating, thinking that's what happened in the second game, the second preseason game against the Jaguars. Now, shout out to Yard Barker. They had a really good article. It says Saints seem to lean toward Tyler Shuck as the next starting quarterback. Well, he'll get the start against the Jags, I believe, unless it changes from Kellen Moore. But the reality is that he was 15 to 22 for $175 and a touchdown. He had an interception, and it was the worst time. It was a pick six. Rattler was only 7-11 for 53. So Rattler's got to pick it up. And I want to see how Rattler responds to his very, normal or less than spectacular performance. How can he do it? But, of course, the Saints want Tyler Shuck to win the starting job. Of course, right? We talked about it. When we talked about the competition that was going to happen between Spencer and Tyler, it was strictly done on I ain't gonna say an equal footing, because the floor, as I call it, is tilted towards Tyler Shuck, obviously because the fact that Kellen Moore drafted him with the second pick, with the second round pick. He spent the second round pick on Tyler Shuck. He's not second round picks mean that in most teams that you will start. So of course they want Tyler Shuck to start. Of course they want him to be the guy. And Spencer Rattler has to understand that Shuck is the favorite in the eyes of Kellen Moore. But Spencer is going to have to do a lot better than this. He's going to have to come out over the next 2 games and totally just run with this thing and completely blow it out the water. If he doesn't, and it's equal or even close, even if he has a slight head, they're going to go with Tyler Shuck. It has to. If Spencer is going to win, it has to be because he totally outplays Tyler Shuck. That's the only way he wins here. Any close battle, they're going to lean toward Tyler Shuck. And it won't be any indictment on them as a team, because they're going to go with the guy they spent the second round draft pick on. And Tyler would simply act as a backup in case of emergency, second round, a second string player behind Tyler Shuck if he struggles mightily or if he gets hurt, God forbid. So it's all in Spencer Rattler's hands, man. He's been doing it really well in practice, but up until this point, man, the pendulum is swinging towards Tyler Shuck after having a pretty strong performance. It seems pretty clear that the Saints are leaning towards Shuck, though Rattler has been given first-team reps in practice on numerous occasions. Still leaning towards Shuck makes the most sense unless Rattler or Haener looks much improved compared to last season. But both the second-year quarterbacks look horrible in their opportunity to play in Carr's absence, but this can be attributed to a lot of different things. Both guys were unprepared and overmatched in each game they played in. This year, under Moore, they have plenty of time to prepare themselves. Still going with Shuck, at least the beginning of the year, makes the most sense. If the rookie signal caller struggles, the Saints can always pivot to Rattler or even Haener Either way, the team isn't going to be in a great spot this year, regardless of who under center. And a lot of this is the talking point based on the Saints because of the fact that when you have an inexperienced play call at the helm, a lot of people anticipate the team not to be very good. If you look at Carolina, they had a similar situation where they had Bryce Graham there. Bryce. So when he was there, not Bryce. When I say Bryce Graham, Bryce. Y'all know what I'm talking. Carolina quarterback. When Bryce was there, Bryce Young. Was it Bryce Young? I forgot the goddamn Carolina Panther quarterback. But Young, I think, means Bryce Young. So, but yeah, I say Bryce Graham. Good Lord. All right, but anyway, Young. This is the reality, though, that we're dealing with as an organization that most people deal with. Yes, Bryce Young. The reality is that you have a young signal caller, you tend to struggle. Now, there is a thought process that, hey, if you built your team correctly and your fundamental, you can have what the Houston Texans had. When C.J. Stroud stepped in there, those guys had immediate success. Bryce Young, it was the opposite. So where do the Saints fall? Like, even if you talk about Washington, we talk about Washington, go to Houston route 2 years ago when Houston did a similar thing, where the Bryce Young took their team, C.J. Stroud and the Texans went to the playoffs in their first year when they draft. So a lot of things can happen. So you can't immediately say just because they have a young quarterback, they're going to struggle and have an off year, like what happened with Carolina and other teams. It could be the opposite, like it was with Washington or like what it was with Houston. You never know. It depends on how the team is constructed, how fast the team comes together from an intellectual and discipline standpoint, how serious they are about competing and winning, and how fast they can fix and adjust and adapt to situations that occur, whether it's injuries or bad play, this type of thing. Now, what likens me to think that this could be a tough year to the Saints, even though I think the Saints' schedule is agreeable enough with them to have success, a thing that could really struggle for New Orleans is the fact that if they don't get these backups fixed, these backup offensive linemen looked horrible. If you look at the only one that was actually worth anything was Torricelli Simpkins. He actually did a pretty decent job. And what he did when he did play, he was a bright spot for the offensive line. But all those other guys stunk. What's the guy? Lemieux, he stunk. Dylan Redunce should have been put in the corner with the dunce hat on his head. Playing the tackle position, that was a horrible decision. Why not just go and get a tackle? Why are they playing around with moves? They got $20 million. Stop playing around. With that type of dumb mentality, questions what they're doing and why they're trying to cross-train people. And some of these inexperienced guys, why not go into free agency? They got guys better than the guys that you got right now on your team backing up. That's available in free agency right now. That's out there. Why not go and get those guys and bring them in here to solidify the backup position? Will Clapp is done for the year. So the Saints will pivot to Torricelli Simpkins. Do they go out and get veterans? The Saints have $20 million, but they refuse to do anything like go out and get another veteran wide receiver instead of an undrafted guy. No disrespect to these undrafted guys that hadn't really done a lot in the NFL. But they have $20 million. They can go out and get a wide receiver with potential, with experience that can actually help you. You got Bub Means now dealing with an ankle issue. Do the Saints pivot and go and get a veteran wide receiver to steady the room? No. They go get more undrafted guys. The same stuff with the backup offensive lineman. Instead of finding offensive linemen that have something, they bring Cusenberry and Cody Whitehair and don't sign none of them. Then they end up signing guys that, it's just ridiculous. Are you serious about winning? Are you serious about fortifying it's crazy because the defense will go and sign people that can help them right away. The offense ain't doing none of that. They saying we're going to take these young guys right here. We're going to make it work. We're going to take these undrafted guys. You don't have to do that. If you were close to the cap, I get that, but you're not close to the cap. You got $20 million. What you holding it for? What are you holding that money for? Go out and fortify that effing backup offensive line, and let's get back to business here, man. We can win. Let's not. If you're close to the cap and you don't have nothing but a couple million, I can understand you trying to do this philosophy, but it makes no sense at all to have $20 million and have veterans available that you can go out and bring onto the team right now while it's early on in camp to help your backup staff, because you can see these backup offensive linemen are not good. I said it before. All this crap started that Shane Lemieux, Landon Young, and all these other guys shouldn't be back here. There should be other guys here. How do you pass up on Lyle Collins over Shane Lemieux? And Shane, come on, nobody in a right mind that will pick Shane Lemieux over Lyle Collins. Not even Shane Lemieux would do that. I'm just saying, upgrade the backups, because when injuries start hitting, we had 2 offensive linemen that had issues. Now Penning's, they're saying Penning, what is a couple of weeks or whatever it is with Penning, and Penning needs those reps. If you go back and watch the tape of Penning, Penning did all right, but he was still blocking up too high. There were times where defensive linemen, just one, would march Penning back into the quarterback's lap because he blocking up high too much. Go look at the all-22. I pinpointed. I said, look at Penning doing the same stuff. So he does well, okay, but he has these things where he goes back to bad technique at the left guard position. You need to be stable. And Cesar Ruiz didn't look all that good either. You know, he was missing blocks, didn't know who to block, you know, this type of thing. But outside of that, what I'm saying is simply you need better backups. These backups are not good. Lemieux and Turner and these guys are not good. You need to go find some other guys. You found a Torricelli Simpkins, congratulations. But the rest of these guys is not Simpkins, not even close. They're just Simps. But anyway, let me keep it moving. Let's pivot and go to the injury bug, because the injury bug's starting to strike the Saints. We lost a lot of people. You lost Will Clapp for the season. You got we tried out all these other guys. We did the flash report about that. The Saints wide receiver Bub Means suffered an ankle issue. He's seeking a second opinion. He could be out for a matter of time as well. So Bub Means, Will Clapp is done for the year. Bub is still is going to be out for several weeks or so, according to Inside Baseball. But outside of that, you have other things going on. You got Will Clapp. He done for the year. You got Trevor Penning dealing with the issue. So now they have to scrap the experiment that was Dylan Redunce at tackle and kick him back inside to guard, to play the guard position, which is where he should have been at. He should never have been cross-trained to play no tackle. That's ridiculous. But outside of that, the Saints will have to continue to improve the team. And we did know that they did sign, shout out to Canal Street Chronicles, they signed 3 players to workouts. Who did they sign? They signed wide receiver Roderick Daniels, who's a speedster, who really hadn't done too much in the pros, Seth Green, who hadn't done anything in the pros, and Jaden Peavy, a defensive tackle, who ain't done nothing in the pros. Not that much, or nothing worth noting in the pros. Chris Tyree, Mason Pline, Will Clapp, all those guys are hurt. Pline and Tyree was waived with injury designations. Pline is done for the year. According to reports, Will Clapp is done for the year. So what do the Saints do? They go out and get a wide receiver, a tight end for the wide receivers and tight ends they miss, and then they get a defensive tackle, right? So we were saying, why the hell did they do that when you need offensive line help? So what the Saints did today, not too long ago, was they signed this big offensive lineman. You might not know the man because the man ain't, somebody you would know. They have to go back into his picture and get a UFL picture because they signed center from the Battlehawks, and this is a UFL, XFL type player, Mike Panasiuk. I hope I'm saying that name right. But after another tremendous UFL campaign, St. Louis Battlehawks center Mike Panasiuk is headed to the NFL. He signed with the Saints following a workout with the team yesterday, and this was reported by James Larson that said that he had. Now I think I went and looked at tape of Panasiuk, and this guy is good, man. He is a good solid. He's going to be a very good solid backup center for you. If you go back and watch his footage, I challenge you guys to go look at his footage. Good. It's going to be a solid backup center. He got, and the thing about it is, he has some NFL experience. He was formerly with the Colts, played with the Colts a little bit, not much shaking on it. But he really excelled in these other leagues like the XFL and the UFL. He earned honors there. He's one of their top people. Now, Panasiuk has been with the St. Louis Battlehawks the last couple of years. This season in the UFL, he earned all UFL honors once again as one of the top O-linemen in the league. He had a strong 73.1 run blocking grade, a 69.8 pass blocking grade, including the playoffs. Panasiuk was a key piece to the St. Louis offense that saw a lot of rushing success. They set a UFL record for rushing in week 1 and Jacob Sayers earned all UFL honors in 2025 for a second straight year, the running back that he was in front of. So, like I said, the guy is a good, smart offensive lineman. He's gritty. He's strong. Look how he blew up that guy there. Look how he blew 61, just decapitated him, just blew them all up to hell on the play. And I think you will love this guy. He's gritty. He's tough. And like I said, I watched some of his tape and his footage, man. And I think the Saints really found something like on the slick with Mike Panasiuk. This is the type of people that you will want to bring to your team. Somebody with a resume, somebody that got talent. Panasiuk's a player who was a unique story, which is a staple of spring football. Mike was a defensive lineman, but made the move to offensive line with St. Louis. He earned starting all 10 games for the Battlehawks in 23, at center, earning all XFL honors that season. It was a similar scene for Panasiuk last year, as once again he started in every game at the center for the Battlehawks. St. Louis had an electric offense with running back Jacob Sayers earning all honors, which wouldn't have been possible without the high level of play from guys like Panasiuk on the offensive line. Mike earned all UFL honors in 2024, as well as which led to an NFL stint with the Colts. So he got on with the Colts, as you can see. His tweet right here, they put together the graphic here of Mike of Panasiuk, all UFL, XFL in 2023, all UFL in 2024, and all UFL in 2025. So this guy is one of the elites of these backup leagues. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to come here and dominate. But the really interesting part of the story is that with the Saints needing backup people, they signed people like these backup guys, Jaden Price, DB. They got Barry Wesley, who doesn't look really that good, and then Seth Green. So the Saints have been, dilly-dallying in these XFL, UFL guys, cast-offs, and they're bringing them onto the team. So they're just keeping the same thing going. But with Panasiuk, this might actually be a pretty good pick. Like I said, I looked at his tape, love this guy's film. This is a gritty offensive lineman. He's tough. He's physical. He puts his hands on you. He moves pretty well. He's not the most athletic guy, but he would be like I said, he would be a great addition, solid addition to the reserves. This is what kind of temperament you need as an offensive lineman that this guy has, man. So we're going to see where it is the Saints add. So like I said, this was a good pickup by the Saints with injuries to the offensive line. So it's just one of these things you got to pay attention to if you're the Saints offensive line. You got all these people coming in. You got people getting hurt. Your backup center is not hurt. It's now hurt. Torrey Sally Simpkins filled in for him and did a really good job. But all these other guys, now that Penning's going to miss a couple of weeks. In 2 to 3 weeks or so, they're saying, which means he should be back in time for the regular season. We'll see. But Dylan Redunce will fit in at that time. That means more reps for other people to come in, like Easton Kilty and other guys, to see if they can catch on with the team. So we'll see how it all rolls, man, as we keep this thing going. All right. Anyway, let's move on to Sportico. Released a valuation ranking all 32 NFL teams. And here's where the New Orleans Saints stand according to Sportico, right? So they ranked NFL franchises, including the Saints, on Wednesday morning. The value is based on your local revenue, your national revenue, team-related business, and real estate holdings. The examples of factors including outside stadium retail operations like the Patriots have the Patriot Place or the Green Bay's have Titletown. In real estate, the Cowboys' sister company, the Blue Star Land joint ventures, were real estate partners. The Saints ranked 30th on this list last year, a single spot drop from 2024 at $5.63 billion. So this year, the Saints they're ranking a 30th, and they dropped from 2024 when they're $5.6+ billion. The Saints were founded in November the 1st, 1966. NFL's 16th franchise team has gone through various eras, mostly on the losing side until 06. Arrival of Drew and Coach Payton led to a title. The Saints haven't made the NFL playoffs since 2020, the same year Breeze retired. The Cowboys finished first with $12.8 billion, while the Cincinnati Bengals were last at $5.5 billion. So, the Cowboys branded themselves America's team, and, it's what it is. But outside of that, the Saints, sit there, but these are still very wealthy franchises. Just imagine how well the Saints would have done on this list had they had been doing more winning. We know that the teams that win, they rank higher on this list if you're winning and you're doing what you're supposed to do, as opposed to just trying to make money. And people realize that, then you would see some elevated success in this type of thing. All right. So anyway, let's keep it going, fam. Let's move on. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep on moving. All right. So anyway, let's go to this, man. Let me talk about this. This was something that happened. This is from Shay Shay. He did this thing where he talked about the Saints and he mentioned Rattler. Let me go ahead on and kind of talk about it and play this stuff right here and hear from what Shannon was saying about the Saints a couple days ago. Here we go.
For the D.
Yeah.
That's what you Saints fans. That's what y'all got to look forward to. And the preseason opener, despite throwing a pick six, rookie Tyler Shook comes off the bench and outplays Rattler. If you could believe that, it's kind of like getting bit by a water moccasin or a rattlesnake. It's just how close are you to antivenom? I mean, both are going to hurt.
Right.
Both are going to in excruciating pain. Swelling will be immediately. Shortness of breath.
Yes.
That's what you get with these two quarterbacks. I don't know why they didn't. I hope Kellen Moore, who's a Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator, I hope he signed a long-term deal. Like 6 years. Because it's going to be a while with those two quarterbacks.
Yes,
before
sir.
They win. Before they win.
All right. So I don't know what that's a lame ass snake description or comment to make. Play on Spencer Rattler's name, I imagine. But this is when people do these little hot takes, and obviously the guy don't know the Saints, right? He don't know the Saints. He was reading off his phone or whatever he was reading off of. He was asking who who the tight end is. They don't know the tight ends. They don't know. It's just like a poorly put together piece to try to break down the Saints. And listen, it's a preseason game. First matchup. Spencer Rattler didn't look all that impressive in the first game. I granted that. Tyler Shook looked a lot better in the first preseason matchup. But these are young quarterbacks. One been in the league. One's a rookie. They're competing for the starting job. This is not the first time we've seen something like this. Now to say that it's going to be a long season, you don't have a crystal ball, because if you did, you more than likely would have not messed with that girl. And second of all, you probably would have did a better job of vetting your commentary so old girl don't hit you up for saying that she did something with Usher and that she really didn't do. So we need to let's just focus on getting our research stuff better. That's number one. Outside of that, we've seen in recent memory teams that have done this, and they either go one or two places. Either we've seen what happened with Bryce Young. I talked about it early on about Bryce Young and how Carolina had them, how it didn't work the first couple of years, and they kind of building up. Or you could see something similar to what happened with the Houston Texans a couple of years ago, or last year with the Washington team. It just depends on the coaching staff. It depends on if the team is built correctly. It depends on if they have enough around the quarterback so they can be able to get into sets, be able to play and act, to play the way that the head coach wants them to play to have success. So, and also a big part of the game is how intelligent is the coach to be able to take pieces of what the players are comfortable with and then incorporating that into its offense, having a discussion and a dialogue with his players, with his quarterbacks, and asking them what plays they like. All quarterbacks, all these guys have a certain set of players that they really like to run, and how they can use these plays or have access to these plays that they know very well and mix that into their play calling, because that's also something you do. I remember Zach Taylor, the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, did that with Joe Burrow to have him have success. When he first got there, he did what the prior coach did, an offensive coordinator did, Brady did when he was there. He took Joe Burrow and went and asked him, "Hey man, what kind of plays do you like? What's your favorite plays?" And he built his offense around that person. He tailored his suit for that particular person to their strengths, and that's how he was able to have immediate success with that. So we could see it go either way. We don't know. A lot of people sit up here saying it's this way. Hell, it could be the opposite way. We've seen it happen either or. The Saints are not without talent. The Saints have a lot of talented players, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave. They're going to have a really good, strong offensive line. The defensive line with veterans in there, it's going to look good. It just takes time to see how this stuff is all going to pan out. But in the end, it's just the first preseason game. We still got 2 more left, and then of course the start of the regular season. So you don't have a crystal ball there.
Same quarterback in the first preseason game. Rattler was 7 of 11, 53 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interception, but he did lose a fumble. Tyler Shuck, 15 of 22, 165, 1 touchdown, 1 pick six. Ocho, go ahead, Ocho. You
think? Wait, listen. Listen. While I was watching the game today, before the game started, I threw out a tweet to Saints fans. I have a lot of Saints fans that follow me on Twitter. Excuse me, that follow me on X. And the question was, are you guys optimistic about Spencer Rattler as quarterback number 1? And all the answers were unanimous in saying that they don't believe in him. And there were a few that said, you know what, I'm optimistic about him. He can improve in his second year. So based on the small sample size, what we're able to see from Spencer Rattler today, it did look promising. But again, it is a preseason. Maybe a little rusty. First time out against competition outside of yourself. So I want to give him a little grace. But
he's not a rookie, Ocho.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Unc.
He started real games last year. I would expect him to look a little better. The second,
it's still a rust factor, Shannon. Come on, bro. You know that. I know you playing devil's advocate to Ocho, but the reality is the man is still, even though he played 7 games, he started 6 games. And I agree, he should have played better. He could have played better, but there's definitely a rust factor involved in how these guys do. So trying to judge the man on 1 game, and we still got 2 other preseason games, I think you kind of premature there, bro.
Time around in a vanilla type game plan than a rookie, then say Jackson Dart, say Shedeur Sanders, say some of these, even Shook.
Yes.
Okay, if Shook's going to struggle, okay, I get that. He's a rookie.
Right.
First time playing in the NFL. Not a guy that started games in the NFL to play that.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it looked rough, but last year, watching Spencer Rattler, he played bad at times, but at times he showed flashes of what he can do. What we have to find, that happy medium, that keel of balance, of consistency, where it doesn't drop below the bar. The standard has to be the standard of consistency. He hasn't found that yet. Obviously, I'm not going to panic. I'm not saying I'm a Saints fan, but just for his sake, I think quarterback number 1 is Spencer Rattler. I don't see a rookie beating him out. Obviously, it looked good. Tyler, how do you pronounce his last name?
Shuck.
Tyler Shuck. Obviously, probably going against the 3s and the 4. Once he did get into the game, you would look a certain way. You would look a little better in that manner. But I think Spencer Rattler is the answer for them. And it's unfortunate. But again, it's a small sample size. I wouldn't panic right now, being that everything is so vanilla. But the fact that it is vanilla, you should look to par. You should look to par with it being your second year. Second year, yeah.
I think the thing.
Yeah, and the point is, Ocho does a really good job of saying that, man. And Spencer went 7-11 for 53 yards or something like that. He had a turnover, Dylan Redunce, allowed an defensive lineman to get around him. And Spencer didn't get rid of the ball soon enough, or he could have just broke out and started running. And that became the fumble. But it was also the fact that how Spencer looked in some of those plays, like I mentioned early on about the fact that he was able to get into the red zone by way of the botch recovery, fumble by the Charger return man, gave the Saints an opportunity inside Charger 20 in their red zone to do something positive, and he didn't do anything. Couldn't get the touchdown, and that's unfortunate. So it's still a competition. You don't win the job on 1 preseason game. It's a competition until it's not.
It was, for me, Spencer Rattler's style of play will eventually get him cut and a coach fired.
How?
That's what happens when you're not consistent at that position.
Yeah.
Because that position gets coaches fired quicker than anything, get general managers terminated quicker than anything. Now, they felt comfortable enough. They're like, okay, we're going to wait till I think they got shook in the second or third round. They're like, we like Spencer Rattler. They like him.
Right.
He was a highly sought after guy, went to the University of Oklahoma. And then Caleb Williams came. He transfers, goes to the University of South Carolina. So he has some arm talent, but he's just a little inconsistent for my taste. And it's hard to win when you don't get consistency out of that position, because eventually it will get him cut and it'll get the coach fired.
Yeah.
Because Richard Smith used to tell us all the time. He says that type of play will get you cut and get me fired.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't get any better, because all I can do is just give you what you should be doing. It's incumbent upon you. He's kind of, loose with the ball, is easily knocked out of his hands. He turns it over, but this is what the Saints,
Bro, listen, the man had a fumble. A guy, he wasn't running around and the ball fell out of his hands. His offensive lineman got beat badly. He stepped up into the pocket. The guy wrapped around the garbage line, came forward while he was looking to make a throw, and the guy slapped it out of his hands from behind. So it ain't like, he just was haphazard with the ball. He was going through progressions and getting ready to make a throw, making a decision. Now, he could have sped the process up and tucked the ball and ran, or perhaps went to wherever he was going faster. You see what I'm saying? The decision-making process could have been done faster. So it ain't, you're trying to paint a narrative that the man's a fumbler and that he just turns the ball over a lot. That's simply not the case, man. I don't know what he's looking at here. I don't get
this is what Jared looked like before he went through.
Is that when you have quarterbacks like Breeze and you have quarterbacks like Manning and you have quarterbacks like Brady, you don't want to waste a guy. So you're picking guys in the 4th or 5th round and you're letting them sit with no chance of getting, not doing anything.
Right.
And so when those guys move on, now you got to rush. They tried Jameis. Jameis tears his knee. They tried Taysom Hill, but I never thought Taysom Hill was a quarterback. He was very good in the role that he was in as a jack. He'll play a little quarterback. He'll a little fullback. He can play some tight end. He's good on special teams. He's a jack, do a multitude of things. Yeah. But I didn't think he was a specialist or a great quarterback. So I never thought that experiment was going to work. I think Jameis could have been good, but Jameis tore his knee, and then they kind of moved on from Jameis. The way I look at it, I think defensively they might be a little, better. They're starting to get a little older. Honey Badger retired. Cam Jordan, I think he's going into his 15th season. He was in that 2011 class with Von Miller and J.J. Watt, all those guys. Yeah. But in that division, you got to get better, because Tampa's gotten better. I think Atlanta's gotten better.
Yeah, they have.
And so I just don't believe that the quarterback that the Saints want or needs that can get them to where they want to be, a consistent team, a team that wins consistently, that can get to the playoffs and maybe win a game or two in the playoffs. I don't believe that quarterback is on their roster.
No.
Well, the thing is this as well. You mentioned all those previous quarterbacks, Taysom and all these other guys, Jameis. That was a different regime. And the bottom line is that a lot of that has to be put on. And see, that's why I say when I talk about these people when they be talking about these players, they just be looking off the stats and the bare minimum information about the team that a outsider can look at and find, and they can wrap around and do a topic or subject discussion about. The reality is they don't go between epidermis. They don't go between the layer of the skin to figure out what's happening. When we had Jameis and all these other guys operating here, we didn't run it correctly. The last 4 years was Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen was an idiot. He was a moron. He didn't know what he was doing. You see what I'm saying? And when you got a guy that the team did not have a leader. The team did not have a leader. They didn't have a leader at the head coach level. When you don't have a leader and you don't have a vision, the team is going to fumble. They're going to stumble. They're going to bumble. They're not going to live up to their potential. And that's what we've seen happen the last 4 years by the Saints. They don't mention none of that. The team is an image of its head coach. If the head coach is an idiot, a backstabber, a liar, a possum, and all these other weird things, then the team is going to mirror the incompetent, boobish, stupid ass coach. And that's what they were. Last year was a joke. Saints won 5 games. They had all this other talent going on. They were slow to adapt and react to injuries. They were slow to do a lot of things. They were slow to go and find talent. They were bad with making trades. They didn't take the people that they had and put them into a system worth anything. They didn't have any accountability. When guys made bad decisions, they didn't put them on the bench. When coaches didn't handle their jobs on their end, they didn't get rid of them. Cam Jordan forced them to get rid of that stupid defensive line coach, but nobody else got touched, especially on the offensive side. When I kept saying, listen, the offensive line don't look good, take that other guy out, put the backup in. See, that's what I'm saying. When you're a head coach and you got your thumb on the team, your pulse of the team, and you're trying to figure out ways to spark the team to do what they need to do, that guy was not in the building. We got a whole different situation here. This guy here, we'll see what he got. He appears to be more accountable. He seems to be an innovator. He's a guy that got a good offensive mind. He's a guy that preaches accountability. He's easily and approachable. The team likes playing for him. So you'll get a better result from this team. So with that being said, that's a good foundation to stand on. But you saying that you don't think it is what it is. Me personally, I think Sanders should have been a pick, but that's gone. But Shuck, if you look at how he's playing, he's not a bad quarterback if you put the proper pieces with him and protect him. You know, any one of these quarterbacks, Spencer or Shuck, can have success in this system, especially if you can equip them with plays and calls they're familiar with, that they have success with at the collegiate level, or what they experience in the professional game or in practice, the things they're comfortable with. That's what you usually start with to get them to build a larger resume or a docket in terms of learning a play calling and going forward. So that's a larger part of what was happening, not knowing how to use these players from the past. My biggest critique or concern about the Saints currently is their stubborn mindset offensively to go out and get veteran players, like real good veterans, and bring them onto the team to back up some of the guys that you have, especially along the offensive line. Wide receiver, we can use one. Tight end, we can use one. Not so much in experience. If you're trying to do something this year, just build on something sturdy, even if you're going after 9 wins or whatever. You have a very agreeable schedule. There's no reason why the Saints can't compete in the NFC South. Yes, Atlanta's doing some positive things. So is Tampa Bay, and so is Carolina. All these things are a wide open situation. So it is definitely a situation where any one of these teams can win the NFC South again. The problem with the Saints is they have to do a better job of fortifying the backups along the offensive line and keeping accountability key and a leader in the head of this team. That's what it comes down to. And if you do that, you're gonna have that consistency.
I don't think so either. I think for the sake of Spencer Rattler, I think the fact that he has Alvin Kamara to take some of the pressure off of him. You have Rashid Shaheed. You have Chris Olave. I'm not sure who the number 3 will be there, obviously, but I think his job will be a little easier because of the talent he has around him. Chris Olave is a very, very good receiver.
Where's Ocho's furniture?
Is a burner.
He's a very, very stuff on the wall.
You got Kellen Moore to put those players
your furniture at, bro?
To be able to make sure Spencer Rattler doesn't get him fired. You know, there's one thing you can do. When you have a quarterback as bad as him, based on their play, you have to find a way to hide their weakness. You have to find a way to hide their weaknesses, and it's easy to do when you have players of that magnitude. Alvin Kamara is still one of the best in the NFL.
I'm just not going to let Kamara beat me. I'm going to make Spencer Rattler throw the football.
Okay. Well,
you can do that.
That's the thing. If you
can do that, though,
game saying, you know what, I'm going to make Spencer Rattler beat me, I like his chances with Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed.
Exactly.
I like it. I like it.
What was their record last year?
Bro, you got a computer in front of you, don't you? Hold on, fam. Let me mute that. I mean, you're like, what the record? You got a computer to use it. How you talk about the same? You don't even know what their record is.
Oh shit! Oh, but hey, you know who the number 3 is?
Who?
Brandon Cooks.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on now.
It's a track team.
Come on now.
I don't think he's not the Brandon Cook that was first in New Orleans.
He don't have to be. He don't have to be the first Cooks. You just creating all kind of narratives now to be disagreeable. No, the thing is, you know, I thought about it doesn't make sense for the Saints to have Brandon Cooks here. Like we have Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. Wouldn't it benefit the Saints to have a bigger possession receiver that does also have that speed ability? Like MVS, he would have been a perfect target. Mickey Loomis lets him walk out the building. You lets him go to Seattle without even bringing him back. I thought MVS was the guy That works well with Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. We'd have loved that. But at making Chris Olave 1, Rashid 2, and Brandon Cooks the third one, you got a track team. And I think that's the part that would what I've gathered, that's all I got in terms of why would they have that lineup there with those three guys there. They got a track team because Brandon Cooks can still run. So you got a track team right there, which means if you're going to stack the run, you're going to stack the box against the Saints. Either Spencer Rattler can throw the deep ball, and so can Tyler Shuck. So, I mean, if you want to do that, they will lunch up off you. So if you want to play that game, go ahead and play it. But it's not like Spencer or Tyler Shuck can't throw the deep ball. You've seen him rip it to Mason Tipton. You'll see Tyler Shuck take more shots against the Jaguars in the Superdome when they try to pile up against the run against him. He's going to take shots too. So that's the thing. All this, it ain't the same Brandon Cooks from the first. It don't have to be, bro. It don't have to be.
Brandon Cooks that was in New England.
It don't have to be.
Or even the Brandon Cooks that was at the Rams. I mean, think Ocho, damn, he's been like 4 teams in the last 4 years.
Okay, so what?
I mean, listen, he can still
run.
Oh, he can still run. He can still
right.
get deep.
That's all we need.
He can still do his thing in the slot. You know, I hate using the word serviceable, but you can put him in position to make plays.
Right.
Okay, now what you
that's
got?
it.
No, what was their record last year?
Bro,
Saints.
use your computer.
I mean, the offensive line, how good is the offensive line going to be?
Is he talking to that girl? Well, who's on?
To be able to protect him.
Right.
My bad.
I mean, they gave up 5 sacks today.
The line's good, bro. You talk about backups, Shannon. Come on, bro. Stop critiquing them like it's a regular season game, dog. And they gave up sacks. Bro, seriously, man, they had backups in there, man. They played backups. And you going to hang them with the backups? That's what I'm saying, man.
They were 5-12 last year, Ocho.
Ooh, that's tough.
Who's the head coach, Shannon?
Look,
Who's the head coach, Shannon?
everybody's running vanilla offense, vanilla defense, vanilla special teams, and nobody's showing anything. Nobody's trying to put anything on tape that's going to be extraordinary.
Right.
Spencer Rattler, having played, I just expect it's kind of like a second-year guy.
Mm-hmm.
A second-year guy makes mistakes. The coaches are going to be harder on him because he's already gone through this the previous year.
That's
Bro,
right.
you've already – and Spencer Rattler played in real games. Sometimes, Ocho, guys get on the practice squad. They don't get off that, and then they come back and have to go through the thing again. But Spencer Rattler has been in meaningful ball games. He's actually played in a regular season and played in regular season games. So I would expect him to look a little sharper than what he did. Now, he only threw 7 passes, and so he's probably only in there for
11 passes.
15 plays.
He threw 11, Shannon.
The question
completed
is
7.
long term, because that's what we're getting down to.
Is it the answer long term? No. No.
Baker Mayfield is Tampa's long-term solution. Atlanta believe Penix Jr. is their long-term solution. Carolina believes Bryce Young is their long-term solution. The question is now, based on what they did, now maybe they believe Shuck is going to be able to come in and unseat Spencer Rattler and be their long-term solution. But
they don't
in order to win at that level, in today's game, you got to got a quarterback.
First and foremost, the Saints do think Tyler Shuck is the long-term solution. Spencer Rattler has to change the narrative by having strong quarterback play. And it's nothing new. This is nothing new at all. We've seen this happen over and over again when you if you have a new regime comes in and they bring their people in, they're going to bring their players in. A couple of guys will stay over. The good guys will stay over. Guys that they like will kind of lay over and stay over from the previous regime based on if they fit what the new coach is doing. The new coach usually, especially if he's an offensive-minded guy, is going to come in, unless you got an established quarterback there, he's going to usually bring his own guy in. The Saint Derek Carr retired, so it was Spencer Rattler, Jake Haener, those guys left. So instead of doing what the Saints just did, which was go and spend all this money on a expensive veteran quarterback that didn't yield any results, the Saints are chosen to do a different thing, which is take a quarterback in the draft and groom him into a starter, right? It's cheaper. And, if you could find the right guy to run your system, it will be fine, right? So, no, the long-term solution to the Saints is not necessarily Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler, to me, is the narrative shaker. He's the guy that's going to come in and delay whatever Kellen Moore thinks that Tyler Shuck could be, because Kellen Moore drafted Shuck with a second-round pick. He sees them as the long-term solution. They're in a quarterback competition to see who's ready to go. Sooner or later, Tyler Shuck will gather enough experience to take the step in the position, whether he starts at the start of the season or in the middle of the season or whatever the case may be. If Spencer Rattler wins the job, it doesn't change the narrative at all, because if he has to still have strong quarterback play to keep Tyler Shuck from entering and taking this position. You see what I'm saying? So even if he starts right now, to delay the inevitable, because the head coach picked Shuck to be his guy, not Spencer. Spencer was taken by Kubiak, who's in Washington right now. Seattle, Washington. So with that being said, that's the point, and that's commonsensical. That's elementary, to be honest with you. So the thing about it is, Spencer Rattler has to do the job necessarily. He has to do the job and delay Shuck from doing that. He has to play at a higher level than what we've seen him play at recently, going 7 of 11 for 53 yards, having a fumble potched out of his hands from a defensive lineman that beat Dylan Redunce. It's just not good. Him operating conservatively, a little, too conservative. My opinion. That's if I had to look at it, where it's like too conservative. Take shots downfield. Allow the plays to develop, be more decisive. There were several throws that he could have made in the game where he wasn't facing that much pressure that he did not make, and that's what you have to make if you're a starting level NFL quarterback. Tyler Shuck did come into the game, played a lot against them backups, looked better. But can he maintain that against from Jacksonville, when they give him an opportunity to line up against the ones? What will he do against them ones in New Orleans against Jacksonville coming up Sunday at 12 Central Time? What will he then do? Because that's what you have to build upon. Now, he looked good back there, standing tall, mostly out of the shotgun. Maybe at 2 snaps I've seen him under center, but he looks more comfortable in the shotgun and, different things like that. But it's still a competition battle. It won't be one preseason game that win you the job. It's a combination of all these preseason jobs, and then they'll give a hierarchy of who they think is ready to go for week 1. But once you get the job, then you must still play at a higher level to keep the job from the guy that's behind you. Because if you struggle too badly, they're going to go to the backup and put you on the bench. So you have to be ready to do it. So to answer, Shannon Sharp is the guy on the team, the Saints long-term option. You mentioned Michael Penix and Bryce Young, and he mentioned Baker Mayfield. These are long-term options. The Saints mindset goal for as far as Kellen Moore is concerned is that it's Tyler Shuck. And it's up to Spencer Rattler to keep that a competition. So that's what we're looking at. But anyway, that's a bit of the end of that crap. But let's move on to this last topic here, man, before we get ready to go and talk about the Saints secondary, shall we? Alontae Taylor, fam. Alontae Taylor, sidelined with a groin injury. We talked about this, and injuries starting to kind of get to the Saints. I still think some of these players that are hurt, not the ones that hit the IR, but some of these other guys will be ready for the regular season. And the Saints are just doing their due diligence to protect some of their starters. So we talked about the Tuesday practice. Head coach Kellen Moore did reveal during the presser that Alontae Taylor will miss some time after suffering a groin injury in the Friday's practice ahead of the preseason game against the Chargers. His initial belief is that the fourth-year corner is week to week, but has avoided anything major, which is a good thing. Taylor has been outstanding in training camp and has been very vocal, taking his leadership to the next level. I've said many times I wouldn't be surprised if he's a captain for the 2025 season and he develops into one of the best slot corners in the league. Moore mentioned that the 2022 second-round NFL draft pick will provide a lot of flexibility for the Saints defense this upcoming season, which would allow them to play more matchup football. He also added that the 26-year-old is really good against the run, and he's an excellent blitzer. He ain't lying. Kellen said, I love watching Alontae. He's everything you want. He's got become a really prominent leader for our team. So there you go about Alontae Taylor dealing with the groin issue. I doubt we'll see Alontae for the rest of the preseason, and the Saints will just go about those precautions like they're supposed to, right? It's just being careful with some of their best players. And, you know, we want to go into the season with some good, you know, with our guys and healthy. And finally, let's approach this. Let's look at the unofficial depth chart according to NewOrleansSaints.com. They post this on their website. You can take a look at it. And of course, we look at the cornerback position. And we talk about Alontae Taylor at the slot position. Ugo Amadi, who we did see in the Chargers game. We've seen Jaden Price make plays. Dallas Beanham is another guy. So you'll start to see more of these guys have an opportunity. Well, Alontae Taylor being taken out of that, you're going to see a lot of these other guys anyway as we get to the second and third preseason game. So they can establish the order of which one of these guys is stepping out. So be prepared to see more Quincy Riley and Dallas Beanham, Rico Payton, we've seen him. Rajon Wright was there, Ugo Amadi, Jaden Price, those cornerbacks as well. So anyway, like I said, man, we'll just keep this thing moving along and we'll see how everything moves and grooves. Now, listen, fam, we'll be back later on today to perhaps later on today, maybe tomorrow, probably tomorrow. We'll do a stream tomorrow recapping what happened tonight when the Saints got a presser set for 7:40 something tonight. We'll react to that later on, maybe tonight after, or perhaps for a few minutes tonight, and of course whatever happens tomorrow. But the New Orleans Saints, man, dealing with bringing these players in, trying out players, the competition we're getting to the second preseason matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Saints, man, they got a lot to do, man, and we got to keep this thing moving. As injuries is getting really interesting as we're seeing few injuries here mount. It's okay. We still operate and moving. Let's get crisper with our execution. Not so much the play calling, but the execution is what I'm paying attention to. Whether we running vanilla plays or chocolate plays or strawberry or whatever it is, we have to execute. The execution is the key to whatever we run. We have to be able to execute these things perfectly. That's what I'm watching in these preseason games. So anyway, with that being said, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Y'all do me a service, man. Spike the like button. Hit that like button. If you're not a sub up to the Coma, hit the sub button, man. We up in this thing. Also hit the notification bell and share the links with the rest of the diehards across the mighty Who Dat Nation, man. Listen, I appreciate y'all for being in this episode, man. Listen, like I said, I'll be back later on to recap what Kelly Moore is talking about. And of course, streams tomorrow as well. And y'all be good. I'll let you on the next one. Much love. Who Dat to you? Peace.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. Thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, running like this and I'm a Who Dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who Dat and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. Remember, it helps the platform continue to